giants, born of fallen angels and human women who wreaked havoc on the earth. They were destroyed in a global flood. We explored this in previous videos of the Nephilim series and how there was a second incursion in the centuries that followed. These hybrids once again appeared in the land of Canaan, powerful, violent, and worshipped, but they were expelled, hunted down by the people of Israel under divine mandate. Yet their story did not end there. Though the giants fell, their legacy may have taken to the sea. In this episode, we trace the lineage from the Canaanites to the Phoenicians, to the Carthaginians, and possibly beyond. This is the story of how the dark legacy of the Nephilim may have spread from the land of Canaan to the shores of Africa and even the Americas. The Canaanites were infamous in the biblical record for child sacrifice, occult ritual, and devotion to demonic gods like Baal and Molech. These practices weren't just cultural oddities, they were abominations condemned repeatedly by the God of the Bible. Israel was commanded not only to avoid these practices, but to drive out the nations that perpetuated them. But the Canaanites didn't disappear. Their coastal descendants, the Phoenicians, inherited and preserved their spiritual system. Far from isolated, these people were master seafarers, spreading commerce and religion in equal measure across the Mediterranean. One of the greatest recipients of this spiritual inheritance was Carthage. Founded by Phoenician settlers, Carthage grew into a superpower, but behind its prosperity lurked the same darkness. The rites of Baal continued, now on African soil, and during times of crisis, they intensified. The ancient historian Diodorus Siculus recounts a chilling moment during a Carthaginian military disaster. Hundreds of noble children were burned alive as a public offering to appease the gods. This wasn't some fading superstition. It was a bloodbath inspired by the fallen angels. The lineage from Canaan to Carthage wasn't just cultural, it was spiritual, and it never broke. These were the symptoms of spiritual allegiance. Whether Canaanite, Phoenician, or Carthaginian, they were held in spiritual bondage as they believed their gods were owed the lives of the innocent. Their altars remained active and their rituals unchanged. But how far did these cultures spread, and were there giants among them? The Phoenicians were famous for their long-range navigation. They sailed from Libya to Iberia, and from the Pillars of Hercules to the edge of the unknown world. In a previous video, we examined the narrative of giants unearthed from the mounds of North America. But now let's look more broadly at the New World, including evidence from South America, and the possibility that these giant visitors weren't merely traders or explorers, but carriers of a hybrid bloodline and a dark religion. Spanish explorer Pedro Cieza de Leon, who wrote one of the most important eyewitness accounts of early colonial South America after personally exploring Peru, Colombia, and Bolivia, recorded native accounts of giants who arrived by sea along the Peruvian coast. When Magellan's fleet reached what is now southern Argentina, they encountered the Patagonian giants, people reportedly twice the size of the Europeans. Later accounts describe them as powerful, secretive, and physically distinct. Some believe they may have been the last remnants of a Nephilim strain, isolated at the farthest edge of the world. Then there are the megalithic sites of Peru, like Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo, where stones weighing tens or even hundreds of tons are precisely cut and placed, without the use of mortar, and in ways modern engineers still marvel at. Compare these to Baalbek, an ancient site in Phoenician territory, where 3 stones in the trilithon each weigh over 800 tons. Both South America and the Levant feature cyclopean masonry on an unimaginable scale and with architectural alignments hinting at ritual or astronomical purpose. Both Canaanite and Mesoamerican temples emphasize high places in their dark ceremonies, whether by placing altars atop mountains or constructing towering pyramids, as sacred stages for their blood rituals. And in both systems, the serpent figured into symbols of chaos and rebellion. Could these be signs of shared influence or a common spiritual origin? Add to this the mysterious, though disputed inscriptions and artifacts. Carthaginian coins were reportedly discovered in the Azores, 1,000 miles beyond Gibraltar. Discovered in 1872 near Paraíba, Brazil, the so-called Paraíba Stone bore an inscription in ancient Phoenician describing a fleet from Sidon blown across the ocean. The man who reported it, a local plantation owner with no knowledge of ancient languages, transcribed text that modern scholars have noted closely mirrors authentic Phoenician grammar and style. Though the original stone disappeared, the precision of its language continues to puzzle researchers. Deep in the Brazilian Amazon lies a megalithic site known as the Amazon Stonehenge, a circle of granite blocks aligned with the solstices with precise astronomical orientation and striking similarity to Old World stone circles. Also in Mexico, there are ancient stone heads of up to 40 tons that some claim bear facial features more consistent with sub-Saharan Africans than with local indigenous tribes. Considering that the Phoenicians are believed to have explored or even established outposts along the West African coast, could this be yet another link in the chain? Other scattered findings deepen the mystery. Carthaginian coins were allegedly unearthed in Alabama and Tennessee. And in 1909, a now-buried report claimed that underground chambers filled with Egyptian or possibly Phoenician artifacts were found in the Grand Canyon. The story has never been verified, and the Smithsonian denies involvement, but some believe access to those caves has been quietly restricted ever since. In Tennessee, the Bat Creek Stone, discovered in a burial mound during a Smithsonian excavation, bears markings that some linguists argue resemble ancient Hebrew script, closely related to Phoenician. The stone, along with the coins found nearby, remains controversial, but if authentic, they raise troubling questions about who reached the interior of North America and why. Overlay these signs with the South American legends of giants, and a chilling possibility emerges: a small group of survivors or emissaries, spreading a corrupting spiritual influence. Perhaps these giants left a bloodline that could be tracked through the ages. Or maybe they could not reproduce at all. They lived long lives but left mystery, devastation, and corruption. And in their desperation to sustain their power, they demanded blood. Their numbers dwindled, but their religion remained. So perhaps the Nephilim story didn't end in the land of Canaan. Through the Canaanite Phoenician Carthaginian line, it evolved and spread not just people, but also rituals, blood altars, demons themselves. The gods demanded blood, and across the ages, they found followers willing to give it. What if the sea helped scatter not just cultures and even giants, but also a dark spiritual legacy that impacts our world to this day? In the next chapter of our Nephilim series, we follow that legacy, pulling at the blood-soaked thread of the altars of Baal. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to watch more videos of the overlooked, the mysterious, and the forgotten.